Ladies and gentlemen, the last time we had Kingsley Hall here visiting with us, we talked about what I thought was a whale of an idea, a floating highway across Elliott Bay. Well, it's still on the drawing board, I'm told, but other developments now have changed direction. We've asked Mr. Hall to return and share with us an update on that concept, plus bring us up to date on the other issues that are attempting to deal with the stranglehold of traffic through Seattle-King County. Mr. Hall, welcome home to public television, the voice of the people. Is anybody listening to us? What happened to the floating highway in Elliott Bay?
Well, first of all, thank you, Vaude, for having me on the show again. And I can say that the floating highway is still a possibility. It's there's been progress. Some of the progress is that the governor has signed a bill passed by the legislature to facilitate the building of pontoons in general. That's a big step. Those are under construction, I believe, already down in Aberdeen and also in Tacoma. And so that's a good step. I must confess, however, that they are not directly earmarked for the Elliott Bay floating highway. They are for catastrophic recovery in case of seismic or terrorist activity, in case something happens to the Hood Canal Bridge, either one of the two bridges over Lake Washington, or even the 4 fixed structures of I-5 up above the City Hall and of Seattle and King County where you can park underneath it. Those bridges are 3,000 feet long, and if an earthquake occurred or seismic anything, they should fail. You can imagine what a problem we would have, which make a lot worse than California. And the 13-block wide hourglass figure at Yesler, -1 for the existing freeway, I did a study on my website that says that if those structures came down, there would be only 3 two-lane roads through Seattle. So there has been progress, but not exactly on the Elliott Bay floating bridge.
But it's still a viable option.
Yeah, nobody's said no yet.
All right.
No politicians have said no. In fact, I've never had anybody say anything negative about the proposal.
But the current focus is on a tunnel along Elliott Bay.
Yeah, I think that's due to some misunderstanding. I know I misunderstood it, and I endorsed it. It's a 2-mile-long tunnel supposedly to help replace, maybe, if they want to, the parts of the Alaska Way Viaduct. I was under the impression, erroneously, that it would come off of and come back into I-5. I must admit I didn't have a clue where that was going to happen. And so
but
anyway,
you weren't the only one.
Yeah, I think so. There's quite a few politicians. One of the candidates that won in the primary emailed me and said that he supports the surface option with widening I-5, and I categorically prove you can't widen I-5.
To be fair, though, this is a very complex, not only logistic and technological complexity, but the politics of it all. I mean, there are many forces at play here. Among them, the direct interests who have a few bucks to spend to make things happen, and your pocket's a little shallow here. You were up against some giants. It's amazing you moved as far along as you did with your concept, but the odds really were against you from the beginning in that way. That wall is still there. You're having to deal with some enormous counter forces to get this thing done. There are interests for the tunnel, interests for a variety of other options, and the fact that it is, as you suggest now, moved at least to the point of having the pontoons built that could apply to a floating highway in Elliott Bay, I think is a remarkable achievement.
I think I'm just proud and conceited enough to say that that's the case. I'm very glad that thanks to public television, my efforts on the internet, that we have gone this far. And in fact, I think that's about as far as we can go at this time. The rest of it's going to take a little bit of concern with powers above us as to whether or not there's a seismic event. If there was a seismic event right away, I'll bet you my pontoons would be out in the middle of Elliott Bay very quickly.
New ball game, you bet you.
But at any rate, progress has been made, and we can be proud of that. And I think that as far as the politics, the last time you interviewed me, we were concerned about a big dig tunnel, not to be confused with the bored tunnel that's now the 2-mile-long bored tunnel. And that was a huge $485,000 or $95,000 worth of campaign funds in favor of that tunnel, supported by Mayor Nichols. And then there was another pile of campaign funds, $398,000 worth of campaign funds, to replace the 6-lane viaduct with another 6-lane viaduct that did not have the required traffic capacity. I find it interesting that these were in direct proportion to the construction and cost of plan specification estimate. So here I am, as you know, funding that. I paid $5 to file an initiative with the Secretary of State's office, and I paid about $33 for gasoline to talk to various meetings in Seattle. And sure enough, thanks to your coverage and our own, we came within 6,000 of getting on the ballot. And I think that drew the attention. I can't say for sure, but I can see that the governor's office is listening because she came up with that very brilliant yes, no vote to overcome those campaign dollars. And sure enough, the big dig tunnel went down 73%. And that's why I'm embarrassed to admit that I had the misunderstanding about the bored tunnel. The voters have made it very clear they don't want a tunnel along the waterfront. 73% voted against it.
That's how I heard it.
Yep. And so I'm hoping that the powers that be will change their mind, as I have, about the 2-mile-long bored tunnel and use that money for another project that we're about to get into.